start. Good evening, everybody who is present today. Good evening, Vishranth sir. I
Good
would
evening.
like to share a few quote which has been quoted by Doris Lessing, a British novelist. Says that that is what learning is. You suddenly understand something you've understood all your life, but in a very new way. So today, I believe we are all here to learn in a very new way. On behalf of ITM Business School Chennai, I welcome all the students and faculties to the webinar of B2B Sales Opportunities for Management Graduates by Mr. Vishranth, Director of Sales and Partnership in Asia Pacific Region, Esper.io. ITM Business School Chennai is part of the ITM group of institutions founded in 1991 by Dr. P.V. Ramana. ITM Business School and our flagship ITM PGDM program are approved by AACT, Minister of HRD. We have been ranked 23rd by Times Group B schools all over the India and also ranked A++ by Business India in the year of 2019. Without any further delay, we are moving on to the agenda. So today our agenda will be introduction to the speaker and then speaker presentations for the next 30 to 45 minutes and followed by the question and answer session. I request all the participants to raise your queries through the chat window along with your name and email ID. The speaker of the day, Mr. Vishranth, will answer all your questions during the question and answer session. But if anything remains unanswered, we will email you within 2 days. Request all the participants to remain on mute for the entire session and kindly send your feedback to the chat window. Today, we have among our midst Mr. Vishranth. He's a thought leader in the domain of enterprise mobility and IT. And over the course of his career spanning 22 years of spearheaded numerous technology transitions, helping companies to solve their most complex business and technology challenges. He recently joined Esper as Director of Sales and Partnership in Asia Pacific region. Esper is a US-based tech firm into Android DevOps to manage customer device deployment as well as management. In his previous stint as a general manager and head of channels at Samsung Enterprise Mobility, he has conceptualized and executed the complete channel go-to-market by enabling the large system integrators, value-added resellers, and independent software vendors to capture various business opportunities in the fast-emerging domain of enterprise mobility. Prior joining to Samsung, he worked with technology firms such as HP, Lenovo, and HCL Infosystems in the domain of end-user computing. He has a strong leadership skills, which proven the record of managing teams of varied size with a focus of innovation, speed of execution, high performance, teamwork, and track record of building and managing teams who understand commits is equal to delivery culture. I welcome Mr. Vishranth on behalf of ITM Business School Chennai for this webinar. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitations. Now over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Indu. Yeah, thank you so much, Indu, for the wonderful, inspiring quote to start with and the brief introduction. My gratitudes to the management of ITN, Gulshan, Indu, the faculty members, and my dear students. It's a wonderful opportunity always to connect back with an institute where I've graduated almost about 22, 23 years back, right? We were second batch of the ITM, and we are probably one of the fortunate batches sharing with Gulshan to have two campuses. The first year in Russian consulate campus in Chennai, and then we moved to a campus in Mandavali, and that's when my corporate professional journey started. So as the topic, I've actually shared with Indu and Mr. Gulshan that, okay, what do I talk about? What is the kind of things that interest the students at large, management graduates, right? Management graduates like you, it's always exciting to talk to you because you guys are bubbling with energy, enthusiasm, passion, always coming up with new ideas, questioning and very ambitious. So I was like really fixed. I said, what do I start with? What do I talk? Because I'm sure they are exposed to so many things in different forms, right? Either through media, press, social media, then different webinars that you've participated, and your academics, right? So I thought, okay, why don't we probably talk about something around my expertise, which is channel management, or maybe another expertise that I have is in terms of understanding and sharing the thoughts around the industry, which is the telecom hardware industry, mobility enterprise is what we call. And the third one is more relevant, which is the opportunities for students in the B2B organization. So I'm glad that we did a poll, and all of you chose, most of you chose the subject which even I, personally want to, talk about, right? My experiences about the various opportunities for graduates like you in the B2B organization, right? So I will try and share my experiences. I'll try and give you some kind of a broad understanding how the industry is poised, right? Obviously, B2B is such a large, industry by itself. So I will not be able to cover much of it in detail because it goes into several hours, right? But I will try and put some salient features, give you a structure around what B2B is, and how can you master yourself if you're really keen to get into this industry specifically. To start with, I'll give you a background in terms of how my journey of corporate life has been, right? When I graduated, the nervousness and that, keenness to join a large corporate and so on and so forth, which all of you will be looking forward to, right? And then what are the lessons that I've really learned from the day I've joined the company to probably after spending almost 23 years in the corporate world? What are the few lessons which normally any management book doesn't teach you, doesn't put it in a perspective, because these are lessons, individual experiences that people learn. So different, sales teams, different leaders learn, have different experiences. So I'm going to share some experiences that I've learned. Possibly it could be of value to you. So with that, I think I'll get started. As I said, I graduated in BSc Chemistry from in Chennai, right? Then I had moved into doing my GMAT, and then I got into ITM. I was so glad that I was doing a management course at that point of time. Reason being, at that point of time, the management course is not so well recognized when it comes to the institutes which are beyond the top 10 institutes. When you talk about management in mid 90s, it was always the IMs, and beyond that, I think people did not recognize a management degree as a very valuable degree that the students can have. So I was very excited, and I was quite keen, especially when I saw the branding and the positioning of ITM. Right, we had a tie-up with New Hampshire College at that point of time, and it was very very friendly institute when I walked in, and very exciting times that I had, very good colleagues that we had, and we're still connected with a lot of them. From the day we finished our second year, the placement season started, right? I think that was the most trembling moment, right? First time I'm exposed to something called a corporate interview. Though we were taught in the institute how to attend questions, how to face interviews, mock interviews, and things like that. But yeah, when it comes to the real instant, yeah, it is always the most trembling moment, right? Very anxious, really want to visualize what will be the questions the interviewer will ask and things like that. So at that point, the placement team in ITM had done a very, very good job in inviting a lot of companies for our campus. We had companies like Sterling Institute, UPS Systems, and banks who wanted some entry-level positions for us, and so on and so forth. So I did, if I recall, I'm not able to really put it forward, but if I recall, about one or two placement campuses, while I think a whole lot of marketing batch were actually getting placed. At that point of time, there was an ad put up. Uh, those days, you did not have any internet or social sites like advertising jobs, right? It was always on a newspaper. I was reading one of the newspapers in Times or something like that. So there was a job opportunity calling for management trainees from a company called BPL, right? If you all recall BPL, right? It was the most prominent company at that point of time, Indian company, right? In the midst of expanding, growing. So BPL was a very strong household name at that point of time. And I was excited. Oh, BPL, fantastic company. How I wish I can get placed as a management trainee at that company. And with that thought, I've applied there. And to my surprise, about 2 weeks or something like that, I got a call for a group discussion to start with. So when I stepped into the hall where we had a group discussion, they were big people. When I said not by size or something, but people are there from NIT Trichy, Liba, and institutes. I said, okay, can I be a part of this and compete with them? These are big names, and will the institute look at only the names and pick up, or are they going to also look at some skill sets? So I did a written test to start with, qualified. All this happened in the same day. Then I went to, there are about 40 of them. Then after written test, about 25 of them got shortlisted. Then we had GD split into 3 different groups. Then we finished, I cleared the GD. Then when it came to interview, it was about 4 o'clock in the evening. We started at 10 in the morning. So there were about handful, about 6 of them. 6 of us, I still remember that name, 6, right? And these included, again, the top of the institutes in South India. So I'm so glad at least I know I come to that level of reaching out from 40 people to 25 to 6. And in the interview, right, I was very nervous at that time and things like that. So when I faced and when I went to the interview room, it was all suddenly all the nervousness, etc., has vanished. I don't know where I got that energy, but yes, I did. I thought I did a very good round of interview with them. And one thing which has really helped me there is my experience at Modi Xerox, which I did a summer internship with Modi Xerox, right? So I gave them perspective in terms of how I managed. I did a survey on customer satisfaction for Modi Xerox jobbers. If you know the jobbers, these are the small photocopier machine companies which are there outside large colleges, large industrial areas. So I was given Ambattur area, if I remember. So I was asked to go and meet these jobbers and understand. I made a questionnaire about their satisfaction about brand of Modi Xerox and things like that. In a day, in a hot summer in Chennai, I still remember I was asked to meet 30 jobbers every day, right, in the industrial estate of Ambattur. So you can imagine in 2 months of time, right, the number of people I've met. So these are all very small shops. You will not even get a time to sit there. They will not even offer you tea or coffee, right? But I had a determination. I said, let me get into first cut understanding, meet them face to face, and that's when I had a good, connect with the first customer interaction, so to say. So this, I think, when I put forward to BPL, I think they liked the point. I said, so many customers? Are you joking? Have you really visited this? I said, yes, sir. I can actually, validate this. You could talk to my manager who's, started mentoring me in Modi Xerox. His name is so-and-so. And, I gave that. So I left the interview thinking that, yes, there are 5 other people other than me. Hopefully, let's see how it goes. But I was feeling very good about it when I walked out of the interview that, yes, I did a very good job. Just after about a month, not even a month, sorry, just about a day, 10 days later, I get this interview call from BPL again that day. No phone calls, no mobiles. I got a speed post, right? A speed post with a cover of BPL logo. I knew it. I said, I made it. That was the first journey. I was so excited. That was posted in Bangalore. And when I joined that company, I was joined as management training merchandising department, right? So I thought, okay, this is the dream company. This is up for growth, and I'm going to retire in BPL, right? That was the initial thought in the first few days that I worked. I had a very good stint. I worked there for 2 years, right? My manager was very helpful, very supportive. His name is Rajmohan. So just about after about a year and a half, he got an opportunity to work with Intel Corporation. Intel was a large silicon chip manufacturing company. Now they make world's largest number of processors, right? As you will know. So he joined Intel and he said, okay, you did well, Vishranth. So I'm joining this company. So hope to connect with you. Just after 3 months since he joined, he said, hey, I've joined Intel. This is a great company. It's a big MNC. We are growing. There is an opportunity to work under me. Will you join? I said, wow, fantastic. Just about 3 months since he joined. And all this happened because, we worked very, very friendly in my stint at BPL. I said, fantastic. Then the interview went on well. I joined them. Of course, in BPL, it was on rolls, but Intel being a MNC company, that was on off rolls. When I say off rolls, you guys are able to relate, right? This will be off rolls on another third party company, but you work with Intel, you are given an Intel email ID and things like that, right? At that point of time, MNC companies had this. They can't take too many headcounts on their books. They were outsourcing it. So I was given a 1-year contract and so on and so forth. The journey was good. But after about 8 months or so, right, my manager called. He said, "Yeah, Intel, is now expanding, and they're looking at permanent resources to onboard for the role that you're doing. And you're too junior experience, right? We're looking at some senior people, so we'll have to let you go." I said, "Okay, where have I landed? Here is a company that I've struggled, and I was so determined to join in BPL, and I made up my mind on the day one that I'm going to retire in BPL. And since you offered this company a position which is good on perks, with a good brand name, MNC company, I made my mind, I shifted, and I did well. I did well in Intel. But yeah, thanks to the internal politics, right, there's some, call up which has come up saying that we need to take an experienced person, right? No fault of mine at that point of time. That's what I thought, right? I was rendered jobless. I said, okay, that was the first, I would say, corporate failure that I had to face, right? Then I was thinking to myself, right, it is such a lonely world, isolated world, that you're thinking, okay, now where do I go? What do I do? I started applying for a lot of companies and things like that. So that's when there's again an advertisement that I saw from HCL Infosystems, right? And HCL again had a good call, and I've told them what I was doing in Intel. And the only reason I still can probably relate to why I got selected in HCL, right, is because I was worked in Intel Corporation. Intel is a big company for companies like HCL, Wipro, that point of time, and things like that. So that is again a good. I started again as a determined candidate and started working for HCL. I spent about 7 years there. Good learning there, right? So from HCL, I moved to IBM. Again, no efforts from me. I was doing the sales channel management job in HCL. They did see the kind of work that I was doing, and I got a call. I said, okay. Sorry, I got a call on that. So I got a call from IBM, and that's when my career started moving. From IBM, I moved to HP. So once you get into the mid-level, so it's either through your contacts or your work that you're doing, you will definitely get on to go on to move ahead with your career, right? So why am I saying all this, right? So if you really look at the position that you guys are in, there are abundant opportunities for all of you, right? That probably we didn't see. We would have seen only some amount of opportunities, but today the market is opened up. The opportunities are not just in India, opportunities not just in Asia Pac. We have world has really shrunk because thanks to the internet and thanks to the connectivity that we have. So the opportunities are unlimited, ever emerging, new roles are emerging, right? And the world is the opportunity for you to reach out to and connect. Having said that, you need to be, really looking at not validated by some external sources. If you're in a college, yes, it's definitely required. So my 5 learnings are these. Let me put it this way. First and foremost is when I was in academics, I was just in that drive to collect marks. What I wanted to probably should have done it is collect knowledge, right? You are exposed into management with so many different, aspects of sales, aspects of marketing, different I would say use cases, case studies, and so on. So great learning, right? But I think the singular focus when I was a student was, okay, how do I collect marks? How do I get more, compete with my other colleague and do? So my first learning is, if I had to really do, collect knowledge. When I say knowledge, MBA course is so intense. There are so many modules, so it's difficult, to go deep into everything. Look at what is your focus area, for example, marketing, sales, right? And try and learn more about in this domain than uh, the other domains, and try and get as much as information, not only from your books, from your guides, from your faculty, from your colleagues, but also participating in a lot of webinars external, organized by the institute, organized by several social media happenings, and also reading a lot of content around it, right? So make it, it's not one day's job. I'm telling you, it's not that, oh, I'm telling students a great advice, from tomorrow all of you will start picking up books and studying. It's learning, but somewhere you need to start, right? The second one is again skills. Again, learn to collect skills, not just degrees in the college. So when I say learn to collect skills, these could be skills around what you want to do, right? What you want to do when you pass out of the college. The skills around sales, skills around this thing. I'm going to talk about a little bit in terms of what are some top skills which recruiters look forward to, skill sets when you face a sales interview, marketing interview, and things like that in B2B. Then the next one is important because with so many social media, you know, platforms available like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, we're all linked in into, we're all got into that habit of, followers. Okay, I do something, right? I get a ping and I feel good about it. I don't even know who the person is. I put up, some kind of a share and I get a like item. I feel good about it. But that's in a way good for your emotional quotient. But for your work life, what's important is to make that handful of friends, professional friends, right? I'm sure you will have a lot of friends. This thing. When I say professional friends, people who are of like-minded in sales, marketing, get into LinkedIn, follow some people who are great sales personalities. These days, people are very open, right? It's not that, oh, you're a CEO, you get a request from a student. They're not. But for that, you need to have a good LinkedIn profile. So it's another subject that I can talk about it, right? How to make a great LinkedIn profile with a good banner, with a good title. You don't have to be 20 plus, 30 plus year experienced professional to have a good, connect in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a platform for all types of professionals, whether you're a student, you're a working professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're starting a gig economy, starting, everyone is in LinkedIn. So I would really advise, make some good, friends, mentors who you could rely upon. Probably you may not be immediately able to connect with the mentors as managers in your in the company that you'll start when you start working, but look for mentors within your own organization, within institute. Talk to your faculty, talk to your sales professor. He has got immense experience. He will be able to connect you on some specifics that you want. For example, if I had to reach out to something on IoT, right, you can reach out to your faculty marketing professor and say, sir, I want to know a little bit of IoT. Nothing that I have a huge domain knowledge about it, but I just it's a good interest that I read. It's an emerging technology. Can you connect me? So I'm sure he will be able to look out for his LinkedIn and see who are the people who are connecting IT. Just write to them, what is your thought about IIT, and you'll get connected. The other next experience for me is learning from me is right, collect good experiences in your college. When I say experiences, a good case study that you guys have studied, just try and visualize those and put those in your mind. It'll very, I'm telling you, it will come very, very handy when you talk to your interviewers, recruiters. Why? Because experience is what people are looking. Now when I say experience, uh, what are recruiters looking for their company? They are looking for people who can solve a problem in their company. Otherwise, why will I recruit a person and pay? There is a problem in the company, right? I'm recruiting a person and try and see how best I can fit. So when you face an interview, it's always good to not just talk about theoretical aspects. It's very important because you guys have started. You need to have the foundation, fundamentals, but it is always good to have an experience, sharing an experience in the interview. Like I said, I really believe that Modi's Xerox has really helped me, clinch the job in BPL. So that was a starting point, right? So try and learn these experiences, one or two or three, which should be in top of your mind whenever you do it. Don't mug it up or rumble it, for the sake of doing it, but it has to come naturally. Because let's say you worked on a good case study around cracking a new market for FMCG company. Let's say e-commerce market for FMCG company, right? Pick up one or two good ones in the last 2 years that you've been doing it, and try and see what best can I do, what are the best answers, right? The interviewer, believe me, he's got just 15 minutes to you, right? So in a way, 15 minutes, the kind of things that you could put it forward in a very, very brief manner is what is going to catch his attention, right? And the last but not the least, go after purpose. Don't go after numbers, right? You often get carried away. Okay, 90% great, I've done great, fantastic. But that's right now relevant when it comes to your institute. You need to crack, you need to come with good grades for you to get good visibility for placements and so on and so forth. But believe me, you and me, out of my own experience, in every company that I've worked and moved, the mark sheets doesn't matter, right? The kind of specialization that you did doesn't matter, right? It does give you fundamentals that your foundation is strong in marketing, but companies are not looking at least if I had to recruit, I've met so many students, right? I have talked to so many graduates, people from IITs, IIMs have been part of my interview process, but I never looked at saying, oh, what is your CGA? Okay, good, good, but it is there to for everyone to see. Put it in your CV very boldly, but I'm not going to talk to him and say, okay, how many hours did you study? What did you do? That's not my purpose, right? My purpose is he able to come out and solve the business problem that I have in my company, right? So what is he able to relate? What is he going to talk about relating to that? So these are the 5 things. So I'm going to repeat again to put it. So I'll be happy if you guys can add up to this. But I think these are fundamentals. First is collect knowledge, collect skills, collect friends, professional friends, collect experiences, and work for a purpose. A purpose is for you guys to crack a good first job interview that once you get into the placements, either through company placements or external. So for that, you need to work towards it. Okay. So I'm just taking a brief check. Am I going too fast? Am I able to conceptualize? I can go a little slow. So I'll request Indu to probably help me. Let me know if before I move to the next.
It was perfect, sir. It was on a right pitch.
Excellent. Great.
So, students, if you
Thanks.
have any queries,
Yeah.
you can post it in the chat box as also.
Yeah, please post it so Indu can voice it out to me in case I'm going too fast. I'm not audible and things like that. Right.
Sure,
Okay.
sir.
So coming to the next part. So first part is all about connecting dots. So just to summarize, I call it connecting dots. Why am I saying connecting dots? So for everything that you do, right, from graduation you joined MBA to a first job to the next job, right? There is, if you look at this, look backwards, there's always a pattern and you can connect the dots. How did I get into mobility? Because thanks to my manager who made me shift from BPL to Intel, I got exposed to an IT industry. From Intel, I was able to fortunate to get a job in HCL, and it went on, right? So at some point of time, if you really look at your career and experience, you look back, right, you'll feel that yes, for everything there is a purpose, and the thing that I'm doing right now is going to help me connect to the next, great job that I'm going to take, a great career that I'm going to take. Yeah. Now let's move to the next topic that we want to really, spend a little time. B2B sales opportunities, right? Before I move on to this, I'm going to quiz you guys with some numbers. We'll talk about this when we end the session before you guys get into the Q&A. I'm going to give you some numbers, right? This I learned it from one of the IIM professors. He's Rakesh Gadwani, is one of the excellent communication faculty. So I thought it's interesting to share. The first one is 10 billion, right? First number is 10 billion. 10 billion, the answer right now I'll give. For the rest of them, so I'll talk to you at the end of my session. 10 billion is the world population, probably, right, in the next about 7 to 8 years or 10 years, probably. Right? we are going to be 10 billion people. The current population of the world is 7.8, 7.9 billion, right? 10 billion is the population. The next one is 100, 70, 5, and 3. Just remember this and we'll talk about it. First one I told you 100 billion, 10 billion is the population, then 100, 70, 5 and 3. Okay, great. B2B. So as the name suggests, if you look at the way the industry is shaping, you take about any segment, the popular segments that all of us know are FMCG, manufacturing, automobile, the large startup companies that we have, ITS companies, banking and financials, right? Any domain, services industry, hospitality. There are two broad categories of sales. Pardon me if for the other domain functionalities like finance and probably HR, I'll be more focusing on sales and marketing. But I'm sure you could pick up some key aspects for your roles as well, right? So for any of these large companies, especially in the last decade or so, we've seen the clear demarcation of sales functions. The first one is B2C, the second one is B2B. So since my expertise around B2B, I'm going to talk about B2B. B2C, we can leave it for another session. What is B2B? As the name suggests, it is B2B as business to business, right? You're talking to one business that is from me to another business of organization. It could be a small company, large, a bank or a large government organization, and so on and so forth. As compared to B2C, B2C simple terms is business to consumers. So like if Hindustan Lever is selling to you and me, it is B2C, but Hindustan Lever is trying to sell a product to Samsung, right? It is B2B, right? Ultimately, the product is same, right? They must be selling soaps, they must be selling, whatever for food for products and things like that. But look at the demarcation. If you're selling to you and me, it is consumer. If you're selling to large corporates, it is B2B. B2B has got sub verticals again. So there is something called B2G, which is business to government. And there is something called, which is fast emerging, B2, B2C, which is business to consumer, right? There are some terminologies like C2C and things like that, which is consumer to consumer. Typical example, if I had to give you, is OLX, Quicker, right? What is happening in Quicker? I am, as a consumer, I want to sell something, and the purchaser, buyer is again a consumer, but there's a platform. So it's consumer to consumer. So C2C. So we'll not get into that. So I'm going to focus on B2B, right? As I said, these are different, segmentations, and B2B typically for anyone who wants to pursue a career, there are enormous amount of opportunities, and we are seeing these opportunities, in fact, are multiplying in the recent times. Why am I saying this? If you look at all these startup companies, right? Let's take Ola, let's take Uber, let's take Swiggy, Zomato. All these companies started with a large B2C engagement. Now they're starting to see how we can engage into B2B. Let me give an example of Ola. Ola, what they did is, they were giving cabs for you and me through using a technology platform. But now they're expanding, they're getting into B2B. What are they doing? They're going to companies like Samsung. Hey, Samsung, I'll go to an admin, I'll go to an HR, I'll go to a finance and say, I'll give you cabs for all your employees for your business travel. So seamless, I'll give you one platform, login. So employees need not pay through their card. All the bills will be coming to your Samsung. So that is B2B, right? So just to give you, so every single company now are looking at opportunities, not just in B2B. It can be a very large consumer facing company, but still they're looking at, expanding into B2B, selling into large corporates, right? So B2B is also sometimes called corporate sales. It is also called enterprise sales. It's also called bulk sales and so on and so forth, depending upon which company you're in, right? So now coming to what are the sales opportunities in a typical large enterprise company. Again, these could be roles that I'm going to talk about within the domain of information technology and mobility, enterprise mobility, right? So typically any large company like Samsung or a Hewlett Packard will have enterprise sales head. He is the head for overall sales of B2B in that organization, right? For example, Samsung, there was an enterprise head. He is responsible for the complete go-to-market, complete teams within the organization and setting up, various go-to-market forms to reach out to customers. So, what are the components involved in B2B? There is, for again, Samsung can take an example. There is great products of phones and tablets, and here are my customers, which are banks, government, right, which are startup companies. All of them are using a product like tablet or a phone to do some kind of an automation. Now, here again, I wanted to insist that why should company buy a product or service in B2B? So out of my own experience, they buy for three reasons. There could be many subsets around this. Any company, when you're addressing, you need to understand what are these companies buying my product for, or a service for, or a solution for. First and foremost is a company will buy something to increase productivity of people, right? Again, I'm giving you example in the IT and mobility. So it might not be applicable for maybe a consumer appliance company and things like that. So to increase, for example, productivity. Now look at banks, right? All the banks were equipped with, the salespeople of banks are equipped with a tablet. Why? Because they used to do eKYC, go to your consumer doorstep and onboard the customer, right? With by doing an eKYC with the tab. You saw that Amitabh Bachchan ad, right? He's flying kites and executive goes, and within about 5 minutes, the application is done and the bank account is open. Just imagine a situation about 2 decades back where you have to go to the bank, stand in the queue, fill up a lengthy form. It used to take 3-4 days to really get an account. So what does this product done? What is this B2B use case for these customers is it has increased the productivity of the sales guy, right? So which means, right, the sales guy is able to go to more customers and sign up. So for customers, it's more revenue. Second reason why customers will buy a product or a service is to really reduce cost, right? So when I say reduce cost, right, you buy a phone or a tablet or a laptop to reduce costs. The typical example is what we are doing right now, right? If ITM, I'm just giving you a very hypothetical situation. If I had to travel to ITM, right, to meet all of you and give this webinar, right, it would have costed a company a certain amount of money, like travel cost, stay cost, and together organizing the cost probably, and so on and so forth. I'm just giving a very this thing. But having a laptop, if I had sold a laptop to all the students of ITM, right, you apart from just the VC calls, you can do various other things. Look at the cost saving that ITM as an institute is really able to. Because you can enable students on webinars, you can push the content of your syllabus and so on and so forth. So that's cost saving. Very rudimental example, but there are very complex this thing. And the third one is obviously again to implement a new process, right? So process like HR process, a CRM, ERP. So these are all available on a company platform. So to push it to employees, to push it to their vendors, distributors, company buy. So these are three major challenges the customers have. So when you approach a customer, you need to really look at what is the business challenge of this customer. Is he trying to reduce cost? Is he trying to increase the productivity? Is he trying to probably implement a new process and so on and so forth? Yeah. So now coming back to the question. So I talked about an enterprise head. Typically, the sales opportunities for young graduates like you will be in three distinct areas. I would put it fourth. Yeah. First and foremost is the field sales force, right? Salespeople. The second is the channel managers, the channel management team that you could look at. The third one is technical solution team or pre-sales team. And the fourth one is the marketing teams, right? These are four large, I would say, broad areas where each of you can look forward to a career in sales. So let's briefly spend a little time in each of these, different sales professionals, marketing professionals, so as to say in B2B. Right? First one is a sales professional. A sales professional is the first contact for the company and its product to the customer. So you bridge the gap between the great products the company has got and the customer. So you understand the customer challenges and then come back to company and say, okay, this product will match your requirement. Now, again, to broadly define, there are two different segments of sales, field sales people. First one is called acquisition field sales team, or hunting team as they normally call. The second one is farming team, right? What is farming and hunting? I'm sure you would have come across in your various marketing and sales classes. But to put it simply, acquisition team is a team is very transactional. You go and acquire new customers, new logos for company to sell company products and solutions to company. Whereas farming salespeople are experts in relationship, right? One is transaction, the other one is relationship. Why I use relationship as a word? Because you tend to develop relationship with the customer who's already acquired, who tasted the success of your product, and start communicating with him to increase the share of wallet. When I say share of wallet, you sold one server, can I sell a PC to them? Can I sell a laptop to them? So that's when a farming sales executive or a sales manager comes into picture, having a complete understanding of the organization, various touch points in the organization, and so on and so forth, right? So I've talked about the sales, what are the categories of sales, right? And let's look at what are the roles that really you could start with. The first and foremost is people normally when you start as a fresh graduate, as a management trainee, you are giving training about the product, and you start with a key account executive, right? Is what we call a key account, KAE or CAM, key account manager. So that's the entry level. So you are required to go and prospect for new customers, right? And opportunities for the product that you're working for. Here again, I think one tool I would like to, again, it's about almost 20 years that I worked in Modi Xerox. I still remember that tool, which is so useful for sales teams. So first time I worked in Modi Xerox, the manager told me is Spanko. Spanko is suspect, prospect, action, negotiate, close the order, right? This, I'm sure there are different terminologies, but this is something which has got somewhere, imbibed into my thoughts. It is never going to vanish. So for any sales team for starting up, Spanko is a great concept to know what to do. How do we start, right? Suspecting a customer, prospecting a customer, then taking an action against the prospect, and then negotiating your offer, and then closing the order, right? So this is something which every salespeople should know. You can use different terminologies, no problem. But this is the typical sales cycle. Some of them are very long sales cycle. Some of them are shorter. But every product, every sales in B2B will go through this process. You cannot suddenly suspect saying that, okay, here is a customer who wants to buy 500 laptops and suddenly you close the order. It doesn't happen. You have to prospect what is his requirements. You have to go take an action by sending a commercial quote. Then he'll call you and negotiate, right? And then you have to close the order. You cannot just suspect a customer and suddenly get an order from him, right? It doesn't happen. It happens probably, only in our movies and dreams. So that's not the business case. So you start as a sales executive, typically called as a key account executive or a key account manager. They could also be called as business development manager. So these are same. Basically, you're developing a business for the products that you're selling. Then you graduate after about 3-4 years of experience, depending upon the type of company that you're working with, into a team leader of CAMs. So you'll be given as a team leader or a group leader where you will be responsible for a region, and you will be given about a few sales executives or CAMs to manage. So here is what your role is changing now. You need to have a view of the customers, right? As well as have leadership skills to manage your team. So whatever you have done, right, helping reach out to customers, right? You reached out to customers on your own when you started as CAM. You need to now give directions. You need to give that guidance to the team below you, right? That's most difficult part for any sales leader, I would say. Selling to a customer I would say yes, after a lot of failures, you will definitely win. No single leader will always face issues, will always be a great, he'll always face great wins. He will face some ups and downs. But one of the most difficult things is to manage a team, right? As the team size become big. Now, why am I saying it's very difficult? Because the human behavior is such that everyone will have different skill sets, everyone will have a different attitude towards the life, attitude towards the customer. So to get them to understand the vision of the company, to get them to understand what's the goal, what's the role and responsibility, for all of them to understand of clearly is the role of the leader. So look at the roles that you change. Typically, you started as salespeople, you will still be called as a business development, group lead, team lead, but your role is more to mentor, right? More and more, right? Mentor the sales team and give them the direction. That's a role that we do. And then as we get into about 7 years, 8 years, then you will be head of sales for an organization where you are supposed to manage the team leads. You are supposed to manage your sales executives as well. So then you are expanding. Here again, it's a different subject. We can talk about it, but the roles are leadership, very strong leadership, and also having a control on your P&L, as you normally read in finance, which is your profit and loss. At this point of time, company will give you and say, okay, I'm giving you a target for revenues. I'm giving a target for margins. You please run the company. I need so much of revenue. I need so much of profits from this division, right? So you not only manage the customers, you not only manage this CAM team, you not only manage your business development team leads, but you need to have a larger view of finance. You need to have a larger view of operations. You need to have a larger view of talent acquisition and so on and so forth. So that's how you develop your various talents, right? So that's as well as the sales vertical. Now, channel is again a very interesting subject. You can talk almost about 2 hours on it, and I've specialized in this. It's a passion that for me that working with channel. So channel requires again almost a similar skill sets, but here you're not talking to customer directly. You're talking to the channel partners. Now, why is channel partners very important to customers for organizations? Right. If you look at the IT industry, you look at Dell. Right. All of you will know Dell was a direct company. They mastered the art of supplying directly from factory to customer. There's no channel in between. What did they gain? They gained cutting down on the channel, which means the whole lot of margins that was cut for the channels was passed on to customer and some to the company. So they were very competitive when it comes to Hewlett Packard and IBM. The other one is speed, right? From the time they manufactured a product, they were able to ship it to the customer straight away. So you did not have different landing points, and customers really liked it. But did it really help? After almost about 3 decades in the market, now Dell is known for its channel engagement, right? In the last 2 decades or 1.5 decades, they mastered the art of channel. So it works only, direct sales works only to an extent of reaching out to few customers, because company cannot on and on and on recruit sales executives. They need to also rely upon sales executives of partnerships. So that's when I think the channel management becomes very important as a domain for any B2B company. So channel management, again, you start with channel manager, then you become the group lead for a channel, and you become head of channels. When you're a head of channel, you need to visualize, right? What are the key aspects of reaching out my product to the end customer? Most efficient reach out to the, I would use that as a term, most efficient way to reach out. So it could be a tier 1 channel, could be a tier 2 channel, tier 3 channel. So I'm going to just give you an analogy how Samsung is aligned, right? In B2C, I'll give you an example in B2B. In B2C, so that you're able to visualize. The channel manager is responsible for tier 1 partners. These are large distributors who basically buy the product from Samsung. Then there is a tier 2 channel which is called regional distributors, right? So a large distributor will be there for let's say nation, complete pan India. Then they give it to regional distributors, Karnataka one distributor, Chennai, Tamil Nadu one distributor. Western region, Mumbai one distributor. These are regional distributors, tier 2 distributors. Then there are retailers, right? When I say retailers, these are mom and pop shops where all of us will walk into. Let's say retail shop. Retail shops can be classified into exclusive retails. They can be classified into MBOs, modern multi-brand outlets, right? So this is the role of the channel. So look at the kind of channels structure a company like Samsung will have. A head of channel has to manage almost 150,000 channel partners. So obviously he will not do it alone. He will do it with his teams. He will do it with his distributors, but that's the scope. So you're getting my point, right? You're able to visualize how important a role for a channel role is for any company. Similarly, even in the B2B, I've talked about the B2C ecosystem. Samsung will have the channel manager in Samsung has to connect with system integrators. These could be large companies like IBM, Wipro, TCS. Then there are value-added resellers. These are mid-level partners, right? And there are ISV partners. These are independent software vendors who basically specialize in app development. So you need to obviously have to reach out to all these people to market your product from the distributor to the end customer. And now the most emerging is the e-commerce channel. So Amazon, all of you know, Flipkart, all of you know, but Amazon is building a very strong business vertical, B2B vertical. It's called Amazon Business. You can probably Google and see what Amazon Business is doing. This is the future as Amazon itself is talking about it, right? So this Amazon Business. So can the channel manager have a connect with Amazon Business and reach out to market and so on? So that's very brief narrative about how channels can be structured, but there's a whole lot of science around it, right? We could always, people who are interested can always connect back. I can give some thoughts of what I've learned in all these years, right? So we've talked about, sales team, then we've talked about channel. I'll spend maybe another 3 minutes in terms of the third vertical, which is tech solution team. Tech solution plays a very, very vital role, right? These are teams who have a domain expertise in the area of the product company is. Because remember the three business challenges that I've talked about? Why customer buy products? First one is reducing cost. Second one is increasing productivity. Third one is new process, right, for the company. All these are called business challenges, business pain points of the customers. So as a channel team member, as a sales team member, you identify these business pain points, challenges the customer is facing, who are the competitors who are addressing, gather all these thoughts and come back to the tech solution team. Tech solution team will put up a solution for you, especially in the enterprise companies, right? Solution oriented companies, software companies, right? And then together, go to the customer and say, okay, for your business pain point, this is our solution. So as a sales executive, as a channel sales executive, you don't have to really know the technology into a lot of depth, right? Depending upon which company you're working with, right? So you don't have to be a geek in Android. You don't have to know coding for when it comes to Samsung sales executive or a channel manager. There are tech solution teams who will be able to do it. Again, tech solution, or it is called pre-sales team. It is not again a very technical, technical. It's not a role about coding development. That's a software development consultants and software engineers role. Pre-sales team has to have a good understanding of sales, but with a very good domain knowledge of the product he's talking about. He should have probably, if had to be a pre-sales manager in Samsung, he should have good understanding about cloud computing, artificial intelligence, industry 4.0, maybe augmented reality, autonomous cars, right? IoT, blockchain technology. So these are different terms. Again, can he know everything? My answer is no, right? You need to know fundamentals of this, but when the customer wants some IoT deployment, you need to go deep dive and be able to give a solution to the customer. So that is something of the sales roles, which is fundamentally field sales executives, then the channel managers, and the tech solution team. Right? The last one is the marketing roles, right? Marketing again is way different from how a B2C marketing is looked at and a B2B marketing is looked at. B2B marketing is all about reaching out to CXOs, reaching out to CIOs. How fast can you reach? So there are different CRM tools available. If you, again, I want you, if people who are very keen in pursuing a career in B2B, it's very important for you to learn about these tools. Obviously, you'll get a lot of training when you get into companies, large companies, about these tools. But these tools are Salesforce automation tools like SFDC, Salesforce.com. Then you have LinkedIn Navigator. Then you have Zoom Info. Then you have HubSpot. These are something called CRM, Customer Relationship Management tools, right? It tracks the journey of that Spanko. Again, try to use this term Spanko. So when I get a suspect, I put it in Salesforce.com. Till the time the entire process of sales cycle it goes to the end, it tracks the sales movement of a particular customer. So you need to know these tools as a marketing manager and try and prospect more customers. Digital marketing is something which is emerging very fast. And then experiential marketing. This is again a very broad term, but B2B is all about experiential marketing. So when I say experiential marketing, creating a lot of big events for customers to participate, how best you can reach out to various key influencers to come onto your webinars, to do video calls with them and so on and so forth, and also making up big webinars for partners and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's in short, I think what we have. Let me check on the time. How good are we on time? I think we spent about 45 minutes, I guess. Indu?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
So, shall
yeah,
we move to the question and answers, sir?
Yeah, so good. We will go to question answers. Before I go, I told you that I'm going to talk about some numbers that I've given you. I'll spend maybe 3 minutes on that. Right?
Sure, sir.
So I don't know if you guys have thought about it. So, so the reason for me to give that at the beginning of it is to think. Lateral thinking is always good. Think out of the box is always good. Any answer is good. In management, fundamentally, I've learned one thing is there is no right or wrong answer. Right? In mathematics, there is yes or no. It's binary, 1 or 0. Right? There can't be somewhere in between. But in management, in sales, marketing, believe me, there's no 0. There is no binary. It is yes. It is no. It is in between maybe, because depending upon the situation, what you pick up is very important, and go with your gut and execute it. So when I say start thinking about it, you can give any answers, doesn't matter, as long as you have you're thinking about it. Okay. So I'm sorry, I left one piece of it somewhere. I thought I saw a question also around it, is in terms of the skill sets. I'm going to talk briefly on the skill sets which are required, which recruiters normally look at, or managers, sales managers normally look at for B2B sales. The first and foremost important skill set for B2B salespeople is communication. Right? Communication is at most important for B2B salespeople. I would not say it is not of relevance in the other aspects of the sales management, which is in B2C, but it's more prominent. You need to be a good communication expert, right? Professional. I will not say call expert, sorry. Expert is something that you will come out of your experience. Communication professional, right? Learn to do some mock calls. Learn to try and connect with your colleague, right? You can invite 4 colleagues Google Meet and say talk about any subject. Doesn't matter if you fail. Doesn't matter if you are not doing good. Is always failures are going to happen. It's better that you do a failure in a constrained environment than fail at a larger audience, right? So you failed, your friends will help you, professors are going to help you, and things to that. What's important for all of you is whether you're a student or professional or experienced people, like us, is not that you fail and you get into a shell. It's always important, even when you fail, is to get up fast and get going, right? No one in life, whether it's professional experience or in our personal experience, are out of failures, right? But what is important is how many times have we failed and how many times have we got up with, be very self-reliant and, get going around it, right? Sorry, I've digressed on that. So one of the fundamental skills is communication. So one, communication is not always, people normally take communication as one way. It is not. It is about you presenting. You should have good presentation capabilities, but it's also about listening to people, listening to customers, listening to your partners. Then in that conversation, when you listen very carefully, you'll pick up some pain point, right? Today he mentioned about, oh, okay, my sales team are actually not able to reach out to a lot of customers. Somehow I'm trying to see what I can do. So in that simple sentence, so you are finding a pain point to the customer. He said he's worried about his sales team's productivity. So if you watch the conversation with the customers, you'll be able to pick up and give a solution to that. So communication is fundamentally very important. Second is, different ways to prospect clients. You need to reach out to different clients in the industries like banks and depending upon the product, right? I'll not get into the segments. There are two streams of leads which normally, you will find. First is the outbound. Second is the inbound. Inbound is something that you get from companies, various telemarketing agencies, your inside sales team or marketing team. But you will largely should be dependent on the outbound sales leads, which you are reaching out of your professional contacts, connects in the industry and so on. The third one, again, I briefly mentioned, is a sound technical domain knowledge. When I say technical, don't really get perked up saying that you need to be very, very technical, like I told you before, but a very good domain knowledge. When I say domain knowledge, you are going to be today, let's say, a sales manager for a large IoT company. You need not know how an IoT has to be implemented, configured, and deployed. But all that you need to know is who are the large players in IoT, how the IoT industry is going, what are the fundamentals that customers are facing, what does my product do to solve those problems. So you need to have a good domain understanding. That's very, very fundamental when it comes to B2B sales, because in consumer, people are always taught you need to be an expert of understanding your product we sell. Samsung phones, you need to understand what is the RAM feature, what is the difference between Apple and Samsung, and so on and so forth. But in B2B, what is important is, apart from knowing the product, you need to understand the customer space, because customer is not interested and say, hey, Vishranth, what are you giving me, a 2 GB RAM? What do I do with it? My sales people are not buying a RAM. They're buying a solution from me. They want to buy something to address their productivity. So they're not interested in feeds and specs of your product. So at some point of time, they'll ask you to read out the specs and things like that. But what's important is to talk the customer language. You will be able to talk the customer language only if and only you understand the customer domain, understand the competitors in that domain. And the last one is, I would call it interpersonal skills, which are very important. And these days, you have many tools like LinkedIn and so on and so forth. So you need to develop the interpersonal skills. So key skills, again, communication, right? Prospecting, inbound or outbound, sound technical and domain knowledge. And the last one is the interpersonal skills, right? Really able to connect with customers, partners, a very, very friendly but a very professional way of approach, right? You need to be friend, but here, believe me, in corporate and in a professional life, you're not making friends, right? When you're working for a company, you're making friends that could be outside of office hours. You are connecting with a person, either a channel or a customer, because you have a purpose. The purpose is, how can I sell my products to a customer, right, to solve his problem. So you make good friendly relationships and make a conversation. You should be very comfortable in conversing with people and selling our products and technology. Okay. Sorry, I've slightly digressed there. I'm coming back to the numbers there, and then we go to the question answers. So I talked about 10 billion as a population, right? So that's how big is the opportunity, right? The more number of people, the consumption patterns, and so on and so forth are high. The second one I've talked about is 100, right? These are relevant for people students like you in probably my generation, it was relevant, but it's not so much relevant. 100 is the life expectancy of a person who's probably born from now, right? He's all statistics and all the research is saying that his average life is going to be about 100 years, right? Look at 100 years, right? About 3, 4 decades back, we had so many diseases and things like that. Not that we don't have, right? Right now, we are in the midst of a big disease, but there are technologies to eradicate these diseases. So the life expectancy is improving and increasing. So you have 100 years on an average for all the students like you, right, to really put up, a lot of work experience around it, both from personal experiences as well as work experience. The other number that I talked about is 70 years. This is again very, very prominent for you guys of your age. 70 years is the number of years that an individual will work in a professional life, right? 100 years is the expectancy life. If 100 years is there, the 30 years will be probably uh, the early part of some 15 years or 20 years, obviously, sorry, are your early life when you start as a student and MBAs and you pass out. From that time till the time you retire, it's about 70 years. So 70 years, imagine the kind of things that you could do, which probably when I had started, it would have been about 50 years because you normally graduated about 22, 23 as you finish your MBA, right? From the time to about 65, you retire, right? So that's the average. But for you, yes, as the life expectancy is increasing, you have a long working years. The next one I talked about is 5, very very relevant to your age group. What am I talking about? 5 is the number of careers that each of you, I'm sure, right, will have, right? Some people could be 4, some people could be 7, 6, but 5 careers. Believe me, it is not jobs. Many jobs will shift, but the careers, when I say careers, right, what are the different types of careers? For me, if I had to relate, today I'm a working professional. The next career I could look at is start up something on my own. So first is a working professional, second is a entrepreneur. These are only 2 careers that I probably reach, and at most I'll reach 3. But in your age group, there is a potential to look at 5 different careers, right? The first one is obviously a job or an entrepreneur that each of you will aspire to. Then you could become probably several aspects like a video blogger or a teaching professional, right? Or as a coach. Look at Dhoni these days, right? Dhoni started off in as a person in railway department, moved on to his passion, which is cricket, and now what is he doing? Right? He's into multifacets. He's joined the army. He's now following his passion. So he's in his 3rd career, right? So as to say. So most often the 4th and 5th will be following your passion, what you like, what is your inner belief. The first 3 will be more business oriented, right? And type. And the last one is 3. This is very interesting and very this thing. Again, generation of your age will definitely be able to reach out through 3 different planets, right? Right now, we are just in one single planet. Probably 50 years from now, you will see having this VC call in Mars. Who knows, right? I'll be sitting in Delhi and you guys are sitting in Mars, and we'll be having this interesting conversation. That's how the technology is developing, but early days. But probably, I don't know if I'll be able to see, but I'm pretty confident and sure that people in your generation, your age, will be able to step foot and start living in a place like a moon or Mars, and we have almost advanced, closer to that. There are private companies like Tesla and Amazon who are trying to already do some private, space shuttle to reach people to that. You talked about space tourism and all that, right? Okay, with that, so I thank you so much for the opportunity. If it was slightly lengthy, I'm sorry for that. If it is slightly, I was pushing, a little, talking a little fast. So if you have any concepts we are not able to get in, I apologize for that, but you could always reach out to me. So Indu, I let you take over.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for the session. It was very interesting. And there is a question from Anu Revat, which you have been already answered, like the skill set for the freshers to handle the business customer. And she also has in different question, how to deal with rejection in B2B environment.
Yes, I think I've talked about it a little length. No career, no profession, even in your personal life, you can be always successful, right? In fact, I would put it this way: the great salespeople, uh, sales leaders are always people who have failed, right? When you fail, that incident teaches you a lesson. But what is important is how fast you recover from that failure, and never to repeat that the same mistake. If you fail and you repeat the same mistake, then you're not learning, right? So that failure teaches you a great amount of experience for you, and to not to do the same experience. So for example, if someone is laid out, for example, I was laid out, to be very honest, when in Intel, right? So why did I fail? So I need to be, next time I choose a company, I need to be very clear. Okay, can I choose off role as a profession at the beginning of my career? These days, the off role is very common. But at that point of time, did I probably make a mistake of going off role while I had a very stable and a very healthy job in BPL, right? So I learned from that mistake. So don't expect the ride to be very smooth. It is always going to bumpy. But what is important is you learn from every failure, and try and talk to people who have longer experience in the industry, so you can recover fast and get running. Never get failure to stop. So again, you need to plan. If you don't plan, uh, then you'll start really, you'll as they say, right, you will start failing if you don't plan to succeed. I hope that answers.
Thank you, sir. Hope she gets her answer actually. So moving on to the next candidate who asked two questions. So I'll just tell you one. Number one. So he asked that can you please elaborate and discuss in detail on the impact of B2B in gig economy post COVID? That
I
was his
like that
first
question. I
question.
think that's a very good. Yeah. So what's the second one?
The second one is he asked your personal experience you faced in the B2B during Y2K crisis and 2007 global depression.
Okay, very interesting. So I'll take the first one, which you talked about gig economy, and good, all of you are connected to what's happening around the current situation. So I'm glad you are in the current know of things. So thanks for that question. Gig economy is a term which has taken a lot of prominence in India, specifically after uh, this COVID pandemic that has all hit us. But if you look at some studies in US, right, it was there even before COVID. There are almost about, some studies stated that almost 30% of all the working professionals are under gig economy, right, in US even before COVID. But in India, thanks to this slowdown, layoffs, and salary cuts, a lot of people are now encouraged to start something on their own. Now, what are these roles which can come up? The roles could be, for example, let's look at my own role, right? I have spent a lot of time in channel management in B2B. So I could probably come out of the working environment and say, okay, I'll start a small consultancy firm for all those partners who want to specialize and look at opportunities in enterprise mobility hardware, right? So I'm going to probably get them enrolled. I'll say, okay, I will design a course for all your sales executives, right? In the next 6 months, I will give them the complete know-how, what I've learned in Samsung, so that for them to start looking at enterprise mobility as a large opportunity, right? For them to go and look at it as a revenue stream. So that could be one of them. So there are multiple opportunities. And as I said, it has only got intensified, right, thanks to the COVID. Now, the other important thing, as I briefly mentioned in the beginning of my session, is thanks to COVID, the world has really shrunk, right? So when I say I want to probably onboard these partners, I don't have to do that only for partners in India. I can do that in New Zealand, I can do that in US, I can do that elsewhere as long as it's relevant, right? So how am I going to connect with them? It's all about the power of connected world that we are in right now, and the video conference calls that we do, right? Like I'm doing a call, right? Any one of them from US could have joined and things like that. So which means, right, if I'm slightly more purposeful and resourceful, ambitious person, I can onboard clients as per my Indian clients in the morning and do maybe a session for US clients, thanks to the time zones that we have. So there are two different opportunities with a similar domain that I'm doing, right? So that's how gig economy is moving, and companies do believe with a lot of cost cutting. A lot of companies are believing in this concept that okay, this portion of business I can give it to an external agency to handle it because I want to really cut size right now. A marketing function like digital marketing can be outsourced, right? So there are different aspects which are developing. It's good you asked me that question. Indu, what was the second one? I just missed.
The second one is your personal experience you faced in the B2B during Y2 crisis and 2007 global depression.
Yeah, good question. Y2K, I didn't recall. I was with HCL that point of time, so that was more of a software development industry particular issue. So it was not really challenging for us while we were selling. But yeah, 2008 depression, that was again a very good learning for us. One fundamental thing that I've learned out of this is yeah, when the depression or when the economy is in recession, right, things will fall down. But believe me, every time that I've seen this kind of crisis, there is a huge bump up, my personal experience of people adapting technology, adapting digitization, adapting automation. Right? So when in 2018, right, when that dot-com companies have crashed, when Ernst and Young, sorry, Lehman Brothers have crashed, and so on and so forth, right? There was a slump. No one was buying PCs because no one had cash. No banks were lending them money, right? But after we crossed about maybe 6 months or so, people have started saying that okay, I need to automate my design so that I don't get into these kind of temporary issues. I need to have good systems to have a good digital transformation in my company. I need to have good tools for my salespeople. So every time a crisis comes, it's always helps a technology platform. I'm sure it will help the other industries as well. But technology companies become very more important in the time of crisis. Even after post-COVID, right? You will see we're all sitting in front of laptops, phones, tablets, right? There are several tools like Zoom Info, Google Meets, Microsoft Teams. They're seeing tremendous growth opportunities. They're seeing big clicks onto their portal. Look at gaming industry, right? People 70 days, people were really bored. All the students started downloading different games. So that has happened because of a crisis like this that has happened. So every crisis will have my own personal experience is a large impact on transformation in the digital as well as automation tools in large corporates.
Thank you, sir. Hope Vignesh finds those answers very informative, and he also
Thank you, Vignesh.
thanking you, sir. So moving on to the next question from Alhan. So he asked the things we need to keep in our mind when we make our first sale, like B2B. So what are the things we need to keep it in mind?
So again, I'll just step backward in terms of what are the recruiters looking for, right, in B2B. It's not about the basic technical skills which are important when you are in the job, right? When you are in when you come for interview, it's important for a recruiter for you to appear to be very passionate about what you want to do, very enthusiastic, right? And have a great attitude. These are three things built with a good foundation and knowledge of what you are doing in the MBA course, right? I've said pick up knowledge, right? Pick up experiences, right? Which are important. It is a killer skill set that you acquired, right? Because I don't expect you when you graduate new into MBA to ask you to, tell me about how a Samsung device is different from an Apple device. It will be foolish if I asked you that. But I'll be very, very keen to understand what is, how do you acquire new customers for a product like Samsung? What are your thought processes in terms of a different channel, I would say optimized channel, which are the new emerging channels that you want to talk about, that you learned something around in your use cases, etc., that you would want to implement or talk to me about. So those are the things the recruiter will definitely look forward to. But once you are in the company, right, there is a great amount of training that will be given, a good amount of domain knowledge, and companies right now spend a lot of time, training salespeople, because you are representing a brand, you are representing Samsung, you are representing HP, right? So to that extent, you need to be qualified enough with a lot of training. So don't have to get hassled about it. You'll get a lot of training, not only on soft skills, not only on technical, but how to approach customers. So, but still you need to be innovative. You are always competing with your colleague on revenue numbers and things like that, right? So you need to be innovative, you need to be creative, you need to look at different ways, study different ways to address to customer needs and so on and so forth, right? So again, just to put it in a perspective for all of you, not only for B2B this thing, but have a great attitude. When I say attitude, you have to come out and as a person that you are selling for your own company, right? That's the kind of impression that you have to do. You have to be passionate about what you want to do. Even in your college, right, you are doing a case study, bring in your best in that. It doesn't matter, it is the 5 people participating in it, but what is important is together can we do more, and how best we can articulate and put it forward. You must be great brains, having great engineering mindset, technical capability. But what's important when it comes to sales job is how do you articulate and present it to a person who really is able to, grasp 100% what you wanted to convey.
That's very great, sir. So, moving on to the next question from our business analytics student, Janani. She asked that is there any analytical team in your organization, and what are all the skill sets should an analyst like data analyst or data scientist should have?
Excellent question. I like that. Yes, analytics is gaining great prominence. Because of lack of time, I did not cover, but any B2B organization rely heavily on analytics. So there are functions even headed by almost a director, they call director operations, right? So operations is a very broad term, but in that there is a lot of tools available for people to master and build analytics for the company. And in B2B, it's more prominent. Why analytics is important? Because analytics is important to understand what the customer is doing, what is his insights, what are their challenges, right? All these are available in different channels, on public sites, on LinkedIn, on probably some press, on their websites, on investor relationship documents. So an analyst in a B2B organization analyzes all this information and puts forward to as a good capsule to the and feeds it to the sales team and say in logistics, for example, I'm going after logistic vertical. In logistics, this is the industry, these are the large players, and these are the startup players. This is the worldwide scenario, this is the scenario in India, right? What are the some of the legal and some of the new emerging trends which are coming in logistics? These are the feeds that company really depend on a sales operation manager or sales operation head in terms of analytics. So these are all put into a tool and pushed into sales team. So when a salesperson talks to customer, these analytics that has been shared will be of immense health, I'm sorry, immense wealth when it comes to have a conversation. Because customers always like when you put forward something that a customer has done in their organization. So he will feel that, yes, you have studied about my organization, you understand my domain, and you naturally understand my challenges. So he'll be able to relate and have a very good conversation with you when you have a good, analytic approach to the customer. Thanks for that question. I think it's a great question.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Jenny. Hope you find your answer. And she thanking you, sir.
Thank you.
And things that question and answer session was ended here. So I would like to thank you very much, sir, for the session. It was very interesting, and the way you started the session, but your own experience gives a better understanding, and it also very easy to relate with, and also it gives very inspiring thing that whatever the things you come through. And the key points of the like collectibles of knowledge, skills, friends, experience, and purpose. It's very useful not only for the students who also for everyone who want to shine in their career, and the detailed view on the B2B sales, career opportunities, and sharing the key skills for the future of freshers is also very informative. And thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time for us and sharing the knowledge with our students. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure to have address this to a great audience. Well, as I said, always love to address very talented young minds, full of energy, full of enthusiasm, full of knowledge, and it's always good to learn a lot of things. I wish we could have done this face to face, but thanks for this wonderful opportunity, Indu, and I would also thank the entire management for helping me put up this session. I would encourage all of you to connect back with me, right? You could reach out to me in LinkedIn, right? I would be very this thing open to connecting with you guys on LinkedIn, and please feel you could follow up my shares, and you can always ask me any questions that you have. Otherwise, I'll leave up with my email ID with Indu, then you can always connect back. So thanks for that wonderful opportunity, and I hope you've learned something new today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all the participants who patiently been here and asked for the wonderful and interesting questions, which also gives some other knowledge to other students as well. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone who participated, and thank you once again, sir, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Gulshan, as well. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.